Hi everyone and welcome back to Tennis Time. It's been quite a while since I've been recording. It was at the beginning of the Madrid Masters. I've made a draw preview at the time. In order to catch up with everything what has happened throughout the clay court season, in this video I'm going to have different segments. First I'm going to talk about the Madrid Masters, about the most interesting matches that unfolded, the most interesting stories. Second, I'm going to talk about the Rome Masters, which is sort of connected to the Madrid Masters. After that, I'm going to look at the clay court Masters, all the clay court Masters which have been played ahead of the French Open since 2005. Then I'm going to talk more about in detail how Nadal, Federer, Dominic Thiem, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Novak Djokovic, Andy Murray and Alexander Zverev have fared along those clay court Masters right ahead of the French Open. Then, since Nadal is the 13th-time French Open defending champion, I'm going to look a little bit more in close on his record. Also going back to 2005, the first year where he's ever won the French Open. I'm going to look at the preparation tournaments he's played since then and in which year, how many clay court match losses he's had, especially on the biggest tournaments, meaning the Monte Carlo Masters, Barcelona, formerly the Hamburg Masters, Madrid, Rome. And last but not least, I'm going to look ahead of the French Open 2021. I'm going to look back throughout the whole 2021 clay court season, starting in Marbella and the Cagliari Open, Spain, respective Italy, then going through the Monaco Masters, Barcelona, Belgrade 1, Munich, Estoril, the Madrid Masters, Rome Masters, Geneva and Lyon Open. There's still two more tournaments, two 250s events left, but I don't think those two have too deep of a bearing ahead of the French Open. The final segment is going to be, I'm going to look at each player who have reached at least the semi-final stages of any of these clay court tournaments. I'm going to look how many clay court tournaments each player has won, how many finals or semi-finals, how many semi-finals have they played, and what is their match record, how matches have they played, how many matches have they won. Alright, so let's dig in. First, Madrid Masters. So the Madrid Masters was quite of an interesting event. After the Monte Carlo Masters, we had a very new champion in the name of Stefanos Tsitsipas. So the big question was, since he has won the Monte Carlo Masters and he's reached the Barcelona final where he's lost in a very, very tight match against Rafa Nadal, where he's also held match points, couldn't convert, lost in the end to Nadal. How is he going to fare in the next Madrid Masters, where he's done well in the past? He's reached the 2019 final. He has beaten Nadal there in the past, in the 2019 semi, lost to Djokovic in the final. So in the Madrid Masters, we had no Djokovic, but we had Nadal as the top seed. If we look a little bit at the draw, the way the matches, the second round matches have been played. So one of the big stories of the tournament where Nadal is meeting Carlos Alcaraz in his first match. Alcaraz had a first round which he has had to contest first. He's passed Adrian Manarino, and Alcaraz was so lucky to play Nadal on his 18th birthday. As you can see, the scoreline was quite severe, 6-1, 6-2. I've talked about Alcaraz in the past. I think he's a very promising prospect. If you've seen the first few games of the match, I think you had to be impressed. Alcaraz was right in there. He sort of had an abdominal injury scare at the beginning of the match, which sort of went away, but somehow that broke the rhythm of the match. Sometimes you did see flashes of Alcaraz, what he's capable of, he can be a fantastic shot maker. He can be a great defender. I think he has great prospect to be one of the best players. I think he's going to be really good on clay, especially if he manages to be even a little bit more patient, and he's going to be able to manage his patience along the way. Another match which was interesting to watch, Medvedev against Davidovich Fokina. Davidovich Fokina, the young Spanish player, 21 years old, good prospect, has shown some good form this year. Medvedev coming back from COVID and who definitely doesn't like the clay. Well, Medvedev did do reasonably well for his first match, but in the first set it was quite strange. I mean, he was complaining so much. That's not really the attitude you want to see from a great champion, complaining and whining all the time because he doesn't want to be out there on court, and he doesn't like clay. Nonetheless, he's won his first match. Another big story of the tournament was Dominic Thiem coming back after basically he hasn't really played. Shortly after the Australian Open, he's played one more match or two more matches, but he hasn't done well. And it was interesting to see how he would come back. And he had to face Marcos Giron in the second round. Giron had to play Pablo Andujar in the first round, and Giron played a great match. He won 7-6 in the third against Andujar, so I think he was pretty tired, and it was a good match for Thiem to come back. I wasn't really sure how he would come back, and I wasn't really sure in his abilities and his willpower, but he seemed really fine when coming back in that first match. I think one of the most interesting matches of the around the 32 were Zverev against Nishikori. So Nishikori had some sort of a 3-1 lead in the first set, and Zverev didn't really look back after that, lost only 2 more games. With Zverev, it was a little bit touch and go. You didn't really know where he was at. The week before in Munich, he lost to Ilya Ivashka. He wasn't playing well. The week before that, he wasn't playing well either, so it was quite of a surprise to see him play so well against Nishikori, and that was only a first sign of things to come. Other matches in the upcoming rounds, which were quite interesting. So I wanted to talk about the Isner-Rublev match. So Andrei Rublev, Monte Carlo finalist, beating Nadal in the Monte Carlo Masters quarterfinals. Definitely expected to do well here. John Isner somehow sort of John Isnered him. He served him off the court, and he was lucky enough to get in the third set tiebreak, even though Rublev won throughout the entire match more points. Isner was just on key in the important moments, especially in the third set tiebreak, and he's managed to edge that match out. Another big match was here, Casper Ruud playing Stefanos Tsitsipas in the third round, in the round of 16. So I thought that would be an interesting match, and it was. Tsitsipas wasn't playing badly, Ruud was playing really well, and he's shown us why he's such a good clay court player. I was still a little bit surprised about Tsitsipas going out, but given the fact how well Ruud was playing, after all, it wasn't a bad loss, you couldn't say. Tsitsipas lost a bad match, and after being so high in Monaco and Barcelona, he hasn't done badly, even though he lost to Ruud. Another match I wanted to talk about was Thiem against Isner. So I just talked about the fact how well Isner was playing in the key moments against Rublev, and in the round before that as well. I think he managed to pull out a third set tiebreaker there as well. against Roberto Bautista Agut. And he started off well against Thiem, so he's broken Thiem once and he didn't really look back anymore. He was serving so well. In the second and third sets, Thiem has done really well to hold serve, not to drop serve, and managed to break once to get those sets. So I thought, okay, Thiem is really in there and he's doing well. So the break has done him some good. He's a guy who knows how to cope with a longer period of layoff, and he's off and running now. That's what I thought at the time. Another big match which is worth mentioning is the Zverev against Nadal quarterfinal. So surprisingly, Zverev winning in straight sets 6-4, 6-4. Nadal started off well. He led with a break. I think he was even 4-2 up in that first set. After breaking through, the next game he wasn't playing well. He missed a few relatively easy shots, and Zverev somehow got in the groove. He was serving really well. Given the fact that Madrid is played on higher altitude, I think the balls are flying through the air a lot quicker. That helped him on that day very much. Nadal wasn't playing particularly well, making more errors than he's used to. So in the end, it was somehow of an understandable victory for Zverev. Zverev, even though it's Madrid and it's high altitude, but nevertheless it's the first victory of his against Nadal on a clay court. This was his third straight victory against Nadal, so that was a big thing. The next match I wanted to talk about was Zverev against Thiem. Since Zverev's beaten Nadal and Thiem has managed to get to the semi-finals as well. This was a highly anticipated semi. This was basically a repeat of the 2018 final, where Zverev has won in 2 straight sets. Nonetheless, after seeing how Thiem has come back, you would have expected a great match. Well, in the end, it wasn't a bad match, especially that Thiem in the latter stage of the second set, after being 2 breaks down, has broken once back, and he's really made a match out of that match. But in the first set and a half, Thiem wasn't really there. Zverev wasn't playing as well as he was against Nadal, but he was still holding strong. He was serving well. He was hitting his ground strokes in a quite solid way. But Thiem wasn't really there. I mean, I thought at the time, okay, maybe given the fact that he was away for such a long time and then he's come back and he's played 3 tough matches and he's playing the 4th, maybe wasn't really up to it physically, mentally. It was a drain on him to play now all of a sudden in the semis of a Masters. So in the end, it wasn't a particularly beautiful match to watch. On the other hand, Berrettini against Ruud in the other semi, that was a great match. Both players really playing well. Ruud continuing the form he's shown against Tsitsipas. Berrettini continuing the form he's shown the tournament prior to Madrid, where he's won the Belgrade 1 Open, where he's played Karatsev and has beaten Karatsev 7-6 in the third set, deciding tiebreaker in Belgrade, as I said. So he was riding on that form, and Berrettini, big serve, big forehand, really going for his shots. So it was a pleasure to watch that match, and he basically dominated Ruud in that semi. And looking ahead of the final, Zverev Berrettini, that was really looking like a very interesting match. Given the fact how Zverev plays and his game style on clay compared to Berrettini, you would have thought Zverev is the favorite. On the other hand, the way Berrettini was hitting the ball, the way he was going after his shots, the confidence he seemed to have, it was not unimaginable for him to win that match, and the same scenario has played out in the first set. He was so much up in the first set tiebreak, then it got back on level terms, then he edged that tiebreak out to 10-8 eventually. But he faded a little bit in the second set, and consequently in the third set even more, I think. So he just couldn't keep that level up throughout the entire match, and credit to Zverev, he played well. He really did. Not too many service errors. Solid off the backhand as he usually is. Solid from the forehand as well. This Madrid court surrounding setting seems to suit him. This was his second Madrid Masters victory after the 2018 one. This is not necessarily a pure tennis story, but maybe you've heard that after the final in the press conference, when he was finished with the English questions, normally in the questions come in the country's language where you're from, so he's representing Germany. There were no German questions. A little bit of a strange, awkward situation, given the fact that there's some investigation going on Zverev regarding the abuse allegations. There is some tension around the air around Zverev with this topic. I would really like to see that topic closed, whether it's true or not true. I think the sooner the better for everybody who's out there and is watching Zverev, supporting or not supporting Zverev, to have a clear understanding for everybody what really has happened there. Okay, so this is about the Madrid Masters. Please let me know what you think, comment down below, and see you in the next video.